Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Let's welcome today's speaker, Billy G.
Thank you. Hey, thanks, man. I'm good. Hi, Billy Alcoholic. Billy. Wow, what a meeting, huh? I haven't been over here before. A lot of bells. It was either a sale or a lot of people are getting their wings. That's nice. I want to ask Don, thank him for asking me to speak. It's always an honor to be asked to speak at an AA meeting. I'm grateful for my life because of Alcoholics Anonymous. If you're new, welcome, and I hope that you're very desperate. That was the gift that got me in here. I had been in enough pain that this looked like an option, and it ended up being the thing that saved my life. I'll give you a quick what it was like. I started drinking whiskey at about 13 and drank a hole in my stomach by the time I was 23, so I switched to some drugs, because I couldn't drink, and then right back to the whiskey that almost destroyed me. And if drugs are a part of your story, I don't have a problem with that if you're trying to get better. If alcohol is the only thing that's part of your story, you're probably very old. So that's okay. Just come in here and get this thing, man. I grew up in a house that was much like every other alcoholic house. I had an alcoholic father and all the pain that comes with the gift of an alcoholic family. My parents got divorced when I was about 9, had my first job at 9, was pumping gas for 50 cents a car, and, that's what I thought you did in childhood. You did that, you came home, it wasn't enough, you got beat. And then we had a couple stepfathers come rolling through, and you got beat by them. And you got beat, and that was the deal, and you felt bad about yourself. And if enough people tell you you're a piece of shit, you start to believe it. Which is why sobriety is slow. It takes us a long time to come out of the damage. It takes us a long time to believe there's different ways to look at things. But that will happen to you if you work these steps. I took my first drink of whiskey at 13 because we used to hang out. I'm from an Irish-Italian neighborhood in Pittsburgh. And you'd hang out at the corner bar and, hope one of the drunks fell asleep. You'd take his bottle and you and your buddy go nip, And... that's what we did. And then when we got old enough to get in the bars, we got in the bars and we drank because, the first time I took a hit of whiskey is the first time I could breathe. It's the first time I ever felt comfortable. Or not only just comfortable, but at ease. I didn't know how to be at ease, man. I didn't know how to be comfortable in my own skin, and Alcoholics Anonymous gave that to me. I came in here several years ago, and I was $85,000 in debt. My wife and my then 4-year-old were leaving me. That's big stuff. And the night, my moment of clarity was I went out to a bar after the alcoholic promise of this time I got it, and it'll never happen again. And all the things you hear in the promises. I'll just drink on Wednesdays, and I'll just drink light beer, and it'll just be all that yak in your head. I had done all those, and my wife had just had enough. And my wife woke me up. I'll tell you about my moment of clarity after this. My wife woke me up after that drunk, and she had resolve in her voice. When a woman has resolve in her voice, you're done. Because she's all done yelling. She's all done crying. And now she's serious. She meant the other stuff. She's already gone if she has resolve in her voice. Okay? I had went out after saying I wouldn't drink anymore, blah, blah, blah. And my wife woke me up and she said, I will take this child and I will leave you and I will never come see you. I will not let your child see you. You are not going to do this to your child and I'm not going to live in it. Now, the strength that it must have taken her to do that, it's what walked me through this door, because there was enough love in me to go, oh, she really means it this time. And I got that clarity that night at the bar, because I went out and I drank again after that, by the way. I went out and I sat down and I ordered up a Jameson on the rocks. And I let it sweat a little bit. And I kept staring at it. And I said, I was having this inner argument with me. If you take this drink, that's it. Your wife and baby are gone. They're gone. This is it. And I took the drink. And for me, I was lucky because that was the moment I realized I have a serious problem. And I don't mean that to be funny. What I mean is it landed on me that I can't stop drinking because I don't know how to feel. If I start to feel, all hell is going to break loose. I don't feel like I deserve happy, and I can't take sad and depressed. Fear, all that fear. Fear inward, depression. Fear outward, rage. And I had them in spades. That's how I knew to communicate. So I came home, and the next morning, she was just in shock. And I said, look, I know now that I have a problem. Give me one more last chance, was my words. I said, I need one more last chance. And I'm a comic by trade. I do stand-up, and I've had a very blessed life. You know, I've been on both sides of this thing. I've been broke in sobriety, and I've been doing okay in sobriety. And I got news for you. It's nasty on both sides. It doesn't care. It just wants you dead. It wants you selfish, angry, and dead. And don't fool yourself. That's the deal. When you're down, it'll tell you you need one. And when you're up, it'll tell you you deserve one. It doesn't care, man. It doesn't care. It's coming to kill you. So if you're in here, I hope you're desperate. I was on a tour sponsored by Jameson Whiskey. And there was 4 of us. And we traveled the country doing stand-up, and the Jameson people would send the whiskey to the house, and they would ask us to drink it at the radio show, and anywhere you're at, just put a Jameson in your hand. Promote those good times. And so we did, man. We promoted them well into the morning every night. But there was one guy on the tour, Nick, who every night at the end of the show, first of all, he wouldn't drink, and he conducted himself in such a secure way. What I mean was, he wasn't worried that everybody else was drinking. It didn't affect him. He never, ever showed any signs of, oh, I wish I was doing that. He had a dignity about him that made me angry. And every night, he would put his shirt on and his stuff for the show, put his jacket on, put his bag on, and out the door. No debauchery, no stories, no apologies owed. Every night. 3 years this guy did this. So when I was in my trouble, a couple weeks before that, I had a few, and I walked up to him and I said, what are you doing? You go home. You know it's free. They're giving it to us free. Why do you go home? How you doing that? And he said, I don't want to talk to you about it right now, but if you call me in the morning, I'll talk to you about it. And I was like, how dare this prick? So I ignored him for a while longer, but then the bomb hit where my wife and was leaving me, and I was in that panic, man. And I got to my next gig in Atlanta, which was a solo gig, and I called him, and I said, I will do anything to get sober. I will do anything. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you tell me to do. Tell me how to do this. Tell me what to do. Tell me where to go. I'm going to lose everything. And by the way, some of you need to lose everything. Some people go to the warning track. Some people see it early. It doesn't matter. If you see it, be thankful. It's a gift. You don't have to ride the elevator all the way to the bottom floor. You don't. You can get off whenever you want. Pain is relative, man. That's why this thing works. And the reason it works like that is because it says in our book, we're a group of people that don't normally mix. And it has to be that way. Because we need a guy that's a high-powered finance guy that has to drink martinis at lunch, who came in here and got sober so that the next high-powered finance guy that drinks martinis can find that guy and talk to him. If you're a guy that needs to drink in an alley and get in a fight with a cop, we got that guy in here too. We got everybody you need, man. And that's why it's all levels. So we don't get to judge who comes in. We get to be grateful they're here. Because if we give them this, we get peace in our skin. So I called my friend Nick, and he could hear the desperation in my voice, and he was quiet for a minute. He goes, okay, now I'll talk to you. He said, I'm going to give you a number, and I want you to go to this place, Chandler Lodge, and my friend's going to meet you there, and he's going to get you on your first meeting. I said, okay. So I went over to Chandler Lodge, and I walked in, and I was scared to death, man. And I looked at the place, and I went, this ain't for me. I'm going home. And as I turned around, and this I want to be very clear. If you take a little step towards this program, it will grab you. But you got to keep moving towards the program. It will grab you, okay? I turned around to leave. There was my friend Nick's friend standing there. Billy? Shit! Yeah, that's me. Okay, let's go in and sit down. So I sat down. He gave me a big book, and we went to this first meeting, and I left there not knowing any more than I did when I went in, other than the fact that for some reason I was sober that day, and I was a 7-day-a-week drinker, okay? So for some reason I was sober that day. Don't know how that happened, but okay. So I got my Alcoholics Anonymous book, big book in my hand. I leave. The next morning, I get on a plane to go to Boston to join the Jameson tour again. And my friend Nick isn't on this part of the gig. There's another guy replacing him, so now it's just debauchery everywhere. So I have a dear friend whose nickname is the Viper, who lives in Boston. And I'm praying that I don't see his number pop up on my cell phone, okay? Because I just want to try to stay sober, right? And I'm in my little hotel room, and I'm actually in New England reading the part where we were in a war-torn New England. I'm like, what is going on? So day 2 there, I'm about 2 days sober. In the morning, the phone, the Viper. Oh, God. For some reason, I answered it. And as it was ringing, I already had the addict thought of, well, I only got 2 days sober. I could run with him for 3, start this thing again on Monday. It'll be fine. But I answered the phone. I said, hello, and I heard, it's the Viper. Now, the last I'd heard of this man was about 6 years ago, before this, 6 years previous, and he was drunk on a beach in Fort Lauderdale doing blow and whiskey, and he was wrapping his head in aluminum foil and running down the beach in a lightning storm trying to get it to hit him. That's my guy. And by the way, he's a guy that I looked up to. I was like, I love this guy. I want to do that. So he answers the phone. I answer the phone. I say, what's up, Kenny? And I just started screaming what I needed to say because I didn't know how to talk. When I came into AA, I knew 2 things. I knew how to placate you and let you say whatever you wanted to me, and then I would drive. I'm going, that motherfucker, the next time, fire. Because I couldn't say what I wanted to say, or I knew how to get in a really ugly confrontation with you. I didn't know there was a middle of the road, and I get to choose what I react to and how I react to it. I didn't know that skill existed. So I just screamed, hey, man, I can't do anything right now because I'm trying to get sober, and I really don't need to be mixing it up with you, and I love you, and I hope you can understand that. And he said, what the hell are you talking about? I said, I'm sober. I'm not mixing it up. I got to quit. My wife's going to leave me. And he goes, really? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, how long have you been sober? I said, 2.5 days. And he said, really? And he let it hang there, that long, uncomfortable, quiet. And he goes, I've been sober for 2.5 years. I'll come get you and take you to a meeting. So there's the first little seed that got me. I went into the meeting with him that night, and I saw a guy that I had worked with 10 years before who was sober. He's been sober 26 years, who ended up becoming my first sponsor. And for 2.5 years, I worked with him. I'm so grateful this man didn't throw me away, because all I would do is call and emotionally vomit to him for about an hour every night and then go to bed. And the man was patient, and he kept saying to me, you need to get a sponsor out in Los Angeles, a man you can sit down with, a man you can be accountable to, a man that will walk you through these steps. No, this is good, man. I'm good. I'll call you. You know, I'll say what's wrong. We're good. I like doing it this way. I really don't think that's going to happen. So after 2.5 years of that stuff, what happened was the emotional pain inside got so unbearable that I was either going to go out or I was going to kill myself. And you guys know how real that is. We're the only group that gets that dark, man. That's why we need each other, because we understand. We understand how dark it gets. We understand the back of the hallway, man. And we understand the rage that goes with being uncomfortable. Like, you could look at another alcoholic and go, I was at the Target, the guy didn't give me my change right, I want to cut his face off, roll it up like a fruit roll up, and just eat it. That's what I want to do. Now, we laugh at that. You run that by a normie and see the look you get on their face. What is the matter with you? So I had to learn how to deal with my emotions and how to get comfortable. And it got so much that I finally heard a man speak that had what I wanted. He was a man who worked this program, and he seemed calm. And he seemed comfortable with the kind of man he was. The men I was attracted to when I was younger were thieves, tough guys that stole, just the worst lot of guys. And the guys, the thing in my old neighborhood was, if you could suffer the quietest, you were the coolest. If we could tell you were in a lot of pain and didn't need to be disturbed, you were really cool. What an uncomfortable way to go through life, man. So I met this man who had this light in him, and he got this thing, he got this program, and he said, I can help you. And he has a family, so we lined up on that, and I didn't want to lose my family, man. And we started working together, man, and we started walking through these steps together. And he let me find a higher power with him. I am a person who never had a problem with God, never. And I don't have a problem with that word. By the way, if you do have a problem with that word, you can use a lot of other things. You can use the group as your higher power. And people go, well, how do you do that? Well, guess what? Here's a room full of people that ain't drunk. They must know something you don't, so use them as your higher power. You can replace the word God with love. All the prayers, just use love. That's it, okay? Get your heart beating in the right direction. But I never had a problem with God. I always thought God I thought he had a problem with me. That's how arrogant I was. Like, I was either wrecking my day or I just wasn't good enough for him. And I didn't know how to forgive that or make that peaceful. So my sponsor, who is Jewish, said I could borrow his God. Now, I'm an Irish Catholic boy. I had to borrow a Jewish God. It turns out the Jews go right to the top. No middleman. No middle. They go right to the CEO. I say that to make you laugh, but I also say it to make you realize there are a lot of roads to a higher power. Because God wears a lot of hats, man. It's about bending yourself and deconstructing your ego and constructing your humility. And the way we do that is by getting a higher power. Something bigger than us that we can trust with our troubles while we're of service somewhere else. That is the key to unlocking the selfish madness that we walk around with. It's the only way out of the pain, man. It's the only way. I sponsor a lot of guys, and I asked my sponsor, why do I have so many guys, man? I got a lot of guys. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, you're that nuts. You need a lot of guys. He goes, I've seen you think on your own. No good is going to come from it. You need to be working with a lot of men. So I do, and I'm grateful for every one of them. And it's funny because whatever is going on for you as an alcoholic, whatever you recover from, God will bring you that man who has that thing that you get to give them. And it all works with these steps. And my sponsor, look, I'm not a smart kid, all right? I drove by a college once. That's about it, right? So my sponsor broke these steps down for me big time. You know, I said, you know, we talked about step one, being powerless over alcohol. My life is unmanageable. I said, what does that mean? He says it means when you drink, you don't know what's going to happen other than destruction. And when you don't drink, you can't stand being awake. He said, anybody can quit drinking. Can you live with yourself when you quit drinking? Because that's what sobriety is about. So step one is it doesn't work when I'm drinking, and it doesn't work when I'm not drinking. What do I do now? Well, we do step two. Came to believe a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. He said, I want you in particular to start with the end of that sentence. Restore us to sanity. Can you admit you're insane? The rage you feel because so you opened a door for someone and they didn't say thank you. The fact that you think drinking and driving with a baby in the back is good, a good idea. Do you understand you're insane? And I was okay with that. I was like, yeah, I am. I am, because I don't want to feel like this anymore. All right, so if you can admit you're insane, can you believe that maybe there's something out there bigger than you, that you can lay these things at its feet, and while you're of service, trust that it's going to work out the way it's supposed to. Not the way you want, but the way it's supposed to. The way you can live with. I don't know. I think I can. All right, then we're going to do step 3. We're going to turn our lives over to God. Your God. Whatever that picture is for you, and if you don't have one, use mine. And I literally used to pray. My sponsor's name's Richard Z. And I would literally pray, Dear Richard's God. I mean, I literally would. I did what I was told, man. I was done. And it helped me get back to my God, and it warmed me back to my faith even. I circled back, and I'm okay with what I came up with now because of a different concept. God is not Santa Claus. You know, my job is to help one of his other kids, and he's going to take care of my problems. And all I got to do is suit up and show up. Sometimes my job is looking for a job so I can take care of my family. Sometimes my job is helping another man and letting go of my ego and what I feel and the way I react. And I didn't know how to do that until we got into these inventories. And when you learn the mechanics of this thing, that's when the change happens, man. That's a big, big deal. You know, they say religion is for people, I've heard this in the rooms and it's stuck with me. I heard this early. Religion is for people who don't want to go to hell. Spirituality is for those of us that have been there. That's what we're doing in here. And I tell you, man, I learned these inventories, and I made those columns, and he showed me, you know, I'm resentful at my mom, okay? And it affects what? My sexual relations, my personal relations, my ambition, my pocketbook, and my self-esteem. Affects everything I think about, everything I feel. Because I can't do any of those things if I'm obsessed with how mad I am about that person. Okay, that makes sense. Next column's a little tougher. If God will remove these character defects, I would no longer have this resentment. Uh-oh. My part. How do I react to these things being messed with because I'm angry? I'm self-seeking. Well, what does that mean? And that one took me a month to get. And my sponsor, again, simplified it for me. He said, self-seeking is simply, if you would act a certain way, I could be comfortable. It's insane. It's delusional. And fear, self-centered fear. How does this affect me? Alcoholics are the only people that can be on the 405, see a horrid accident, a nun being airlifted to a hospital. And our first thought is, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. It's no good, man. Not trusting God, playing God. Not trusting God. My path is laid out for me. I need to trust it. It's not always what I want, but if I trust, my path is okay. Playing God. I know what's best. That's what got me into all this trouble. And then the end of it, I am unwilling to accept that this person or this institution is or is filled with children of God who are perhaps spiritually sick. And because I can't accept that you're another child of God, that makes me above you, which gives me the gift of judgment. I get to sit in judgment. And the only way to get rid of the pain of judgment or to get rid of the pain of resentment is to give up the pleasure of judgment. We love to, you oughta. So if I can't do that, then I'm in trouble. So that's my prayer. That's what I take to my higher power in 6 and 7. I'm ready. Okay, I did my work. I said it to another man or another woman because that stops the fire. Because our heads, it always gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it never occurs to us that it might be okay. That's never the ending that's in there. It always is worse and worse and worse. So by saying that to another man, your sponsor, your sponsees, you stop the fire. Now I got to do number 7. I got to take this to God and trust. I got to put my money on the table. Okay, my Creator, I'm ready for you to have me, good and bad. Please remove from me every single defective character that blocks me of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Because if I'm running in that direction, I'm not worrying about how I've been wronged, how there's been injustice, and what I need, and what didn't work out for me. Because all of those things are there excuses for me to ruin my life. Anytime I need to be right, anytime I need to be justified, anytime I need to have my say, that is the excuse for me when it doesn't happen to ruin my life and anyone around it. That's a pretty good deal for $1. I got these steps with this man, and I work with him every day. I do my work, man. I got my big boulders off the road, my 5th step. And, and it's a daily maintenance now. The 10th step, just the written 10th step. There's 3 things that help me survive every day, and that is my written 10 steps, a fear list, because I didn't know how to give my fears away. And fears don't have to be connected to resentments. We're just afraid. And it's awful. I grew up in a neighborhood where you couldn't go into a corner bar, look at another guy and go, I feel very fragile today. You couldn't. I could say that to my sponsor. That's a great relief. I have somebody that I can be that bones honest with. I'm scared, man. I don't know what to do. Well, let's do the work. Now go be of service. Wow. And then that 11th step, which is, to me, it's the all skate, man. That's when you let go of the wheel. You don't get to pray for yourself anymore. That's when you're working this deal, man, in my opinion. I pray for other people. I begrudgingly pray for the people that have wronged me and that I hate. And I pray to be of service. Because if I'm of service, everything else works out. It's when I get in the middle of it. That's when the trouble starts. And then I get to carry this deal in step 12. I get to carry it to another man and watch his life get better. That's where the real juice happens. I never thought that was going to be true. When I did my 5th step and I gave everything to my sponsor, and I really let it go, man, because I had to. But by letting all that go, I had this cathartic thing happen, and I was like, this is going to be better. And then he said to me at the end of it, he said, imagine how many men you're going to be able to share with and help because you've taken this to God. You've gotten it off your chest. You're going to be able to heal another man with this. And I went, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm not telling anybody else any of this stuff. But it was just the opposite. He was right again. When I'm able to sit down with a man and share with him about physical abuse or sexual abuse or insecurities, none of those things haunt me anymore. I no longer have shame about any of those things. And I'm able to look another man in his eyes and let him know that this is okay. Life happens. It's where you take it from here. It's how you decide to look at it. And if you get a higher power involved in your perspective, you're going to be able to get rid of this poison. That's the most astounding thing that's ever happened to me. This is a family disease, man. The big alcoholic excuse is always an addict excuse. Oh, I'm just partying, bro. I'm not hurting nobody. Just me, man. I can do what I want. You're destroying everybody who ever cared about you. Everybody who ever cared about you. But the gift is you come in here and you do this thing, suddenly your actions start to speak for you instead of your words. And then you become a changed person. You walk a different path. And then that same ripple of damage that you sent through the family becomes a ripple of healing. And I've seen it happen, man. My wife and kid are at my house right now. They're going to the store. They're going to get hot dogs and hamburgers and some dumb pull toy that I'm going to swear while I put it together. And, man, we're going to do that. I'll take that, man. Over the madness of not being able to walk around in my skin, not being able to get along with anybody, always feeling like a dirtbag. No, I get to be one of God's kids today. I get to take care of my family. My family's at home waiting to do a cookout. And they know it's important that I'm here. Because after these years, my wife saw the change. When I first came into sobriety, my wife was like, why do you got to talk to those people? You went to 4 meetings last week. Don't you feel better? What's wrong now? And then it got a little better, and it became, you know what? We had a nice week. Thank you. And then it became, I'm beginning to trust you again. And now it's, don't you think you ought to go to a meeting? Because they see, man, it's in the action. It's not what you think in here. It's what you do. So get to work. Trust somebody. Do this work. Get to a higher power. And then give it to somebody else, because that's what will keep you here for a long, long time. Find a newcomer and warm your hands on them, man. Because you should feel grateful. When they come in, they're sitting on their hands, and they don't think there's any hope left, and you get to be the person that walks over and goes, you're going to be all right. That's a big, big deal, man. And again, I'll say one more thing about God, and then I'll leave. I'm a stand-up comic. I wrote this joke 3 years into my sobriety, and it's my favorite joke I ever wrote because it's what I realized in here. The older I get, the more I believe in God and the less I believe in religion. Because religion is where all the trouble starts. My story's better than your story. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it's endless, right? There are 80,000 religions in the world. Do you know what that means? We're either all right or somebody's going to be wrong. So there might be a lot of us sitting in hell one night going, who'd you think it was? Thank you for letting me be of service. Do I sit? Is it? Oh. Yeah.
Thank you for your share. I got a lot out of that.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
And how did a guy like you stay sober on a Jameson tour? How long were you sober on that? How long was that tour? How did you fight it? How long did the obsession take to be released?
I did another what's that? How did I stay sober on the Jameson tour after I first got sober?
How long was it? How long did the obsession take?
I had another year to do on the Jameson tour, and I stayed sober by finding a meeting in every different city that I went to. And I went home at night after the show, and I called my sponsor and said, I'm home. And he said, and then we would talk, but he would say, find a meeting in every city you go to. And this is the language of AA, man. It's everywhere. You know, there's different rules. Some people don't have, you know, like this festive atmosphere. This is the greatest. If I have another birthday, I'm coming here. It's unbelievable. But I mean, what the deal was, he kept saying to me, what would you do to get high? What would you do to get drunk? Do that to get to a meeting. And so I would find a meeting in Cleveland, and a meeting in Pittsburgh, and a meeting in Milwaukee, and a meeting in Atlanta. And that fellowship, people I never knew, kept me sober every day for another year till I got off that tour. The obsession to drink lifted about 9 months in. But then I was a raw nerve because I didn't know how to feel. I didn't want to drink, but I didn't know how to feel. And that's where the depression really started until I got to the steps. Yeah, man. Hey, I know you.
When you write your fears down at night,
Mm-hmm.
and do you read them to Richard on the phone? Or
Yeah.
Do you, so you just, and what's the process?
Here's my process. In step 4, it says, fear is wrought through us, okay? And they don't have to be connected to resentments. We can just, somebody can bump us and go, oh, God, it's all fucked. We just do that. At least I do, okay? And so the fears are the honest level. I start every sentence with I fear. I fear I'm not going to lose weight, and I'm going to have a heart attack and leave my family without a father and a husband. I fear my job's going to end. I'll never book another job again. I won't be able to take care of my family. I fear this. I fear that. I fear my son won't be able to fit in at his new school. Anything I'm afraid of, the most minor detail. Then I call him, and I read those fears to him, and then I do the 4th step prayer, which is, God, relieve me of my fear and turn my attention to what you would have me be, and then I go immediately ask my wife what she needs me to do. That's a quick way to get into service. Because once again, it goes back to, don't laugh, she's still here. But that's the quickest way out. The quickest way out. And it says in our book, it says right there near this inventory, that fear, the verdict of the ages is men, and it should be men and women, of faith have courage. We have courage. And it takes courage to say I'm afraid. It takes courage to say I don't know what to do. And it takes courage to have faith. There's a difference between faith and trust. Faith is, I know you're up there. Trust is, I know you got this. So while you got this, I'm going to go be of service. And that's what I do. And it says even in the book, and I've had it happen many times, we commence to outgrow fear immediately. It just depends on how long I want to sit in it. But the minute I start that pen moving, I get honest, I get that prayer out, then I go be of service. Before I know it, I'm happy and wandering around looking at the light bulbs in my garage. So, yeah, they really work though, Kathleen. Yeah. Kenny.
So Billy, I know you a little bit, and being a comedian, you get hecklers.
Mm-hmm.
When you get hecklers in real life, what's your armor against pause before tongue and pen and all that other?
Well, that's the beauty of being a comedian. I don't have to pause. Oh, I'm sorry. As a comedian, how do I deal with hecklers, restraint against pen and tongue?
Also in life.
In life, listen, man, what you think of me is none of my business. And that's one of the greatest gifts I've ever had. Because I used to always have to, oh, what do they think? Will he like me? Is that guy going to think I'm cool? Because he's cool. And I don't have any of that anymore. Just don't care. Yeah, I know because I've learned the solidity of this program is if you are doing the right action and somebody is dissatisfied with you, that's none of your business, man. They get to think whatever they want. You can't change it anyway. Let them think what they want. Let them be as loud as they want. See, one of the greatest phrases I ever learned was, I must go now. That's it. And as far as doing that on stage, I'm a little kinder with my heckle shots. They're a little more passive-aggressive. But in that arena, it's okay and funny. So, and don't disturb my show. So. Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
You talked about the steps, you know, and what about step your amends? Is there any particular thing in your amends that was meaningful?
Yeah. What about the amends? Yes, absolutely there was. The amends process is, once again, to me, that works exactly the way it does when you start stepping towards this program. Your amends appear when you're willing, and it's very important to do that. That's when the promises start to happen. The amends list was made that list. I had to learn that list. You know, I had to write that list out of all the people I'd harmed. And then my sponsor broke it down, whether it's an emotional amends, financial amends, or spiritual amends. And a spiritual amends sometimes is like if you have some anger with a father or a mother that's no longer with us. And one of the greatest things he taught me about my mom was, you know, my mom stole. She stole from us. She took my paycheck, blah, 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 blah. But what he taught me was, after I got everything out about my mom, he said, okay, I want you to make an amends to her for being angry and not being a great son and worrying her all the time. And I was like, but she. And he said, I want you to listen to me very closely. I want you to listen to this. What I'm going to say to you is, your mom did the best she could. I was like, Bull, you didn't hear what I just told you about all that. He said, you're not hearing what I'm saying. That's the best she could do. No mother holds a baby in her arms and goes, I'm really going to wreck this one. Not one. So get off your high horse. And then he also taught me the golden rule of number 9, which is, if it's going to cause more damage and it's something I want to get off my chest, I don't get to open my mouth about that. Okay? I got to find another way to my amends. And then the most important thing he taught me about my amends was, I don't get to use the words, I'm sorry. He said, you are to read me every amends. You are not allowed to use the words, I'm sorry. The words you're looking for is, I was wrong. I regret the way I acted. I was wrong, because that nails me to accountability. Guys like me, I used I'm sorry like you'd tip a waiter $2. You're like, there you go, I'm sorry. It meant nothing after a while. But I was wrong had a lot more weight to it. And I got to walk into those amends. They were very important to me. And the minute you write a name down, man, somehow you're able to find that person. And if it's possible, you go. And, it says in the book, sometimes you're going to get kicked out of the office. That happened to me once. But once again, I'm there to clean my side of the street. I'm there to fix the damage I caused to the best of my ability. So I hope that answered that. Yeah, man. Service, absolutely, man. Service is the key for a guy like me because I'm a lunatic. I found the magic number for me these days is 5 meetings a week. I sponsor 10 men. They keep me very busy. And that's the best way I can give back. Anytime I'm asked to speak, I try to cancel whatever else I was doing if I can to speak and show up. I try to do I do outside service too. We carry this into all of our affairs. So I try to, with what I do as a stand-up, and I have a job on TV, so I'm able to sell tickets. So like I do benefits for WeSpark, I do benefits for the Children's Hospital. I try to I'm trying to write good checks, man. I just keep looking at it like that. I need good checks out there. I just need good checks. And the other thing I do is I really don't tell anybody about that, so that made me feel a little weird. And that is something I learned from my sponsor too, because whenever I would do something good, I would run and tell him I did something good. And he says, I'm really fucking tired of you telling me how good you are. He goes, I want you to do enough good deeds that someone else comes up to me and tells me you're doing a good deed. You just do the good deed, silent service. And that's what I try to do. I try to. I'm not perfect. I screw up all the time, but I do it better than I used to. So, Is that it? Thanks, you guys.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.